Hi, welcome back. Today I will be filming my September wrap-up, and yes, I am very much aware that it is October 18th. Just been very lazy to get to it, and yeah, no excuses. Just kind of jump right in. I think I read 14 books this month. Begin with the audio, which was Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, bit of a classic, and overall I gave this one only 3 stars. I knew the general story. Phineas Fogg, kind of a very persnickety gentleman, likes everything very exacting, not a very likable character. He ends up accepting a bet to circumnavigate the globe in under 80 days, and pretty much sets out on the journey right away. No preparations for it, just goes. Grabs his newly hired manservant, Passepartout, who thought he would settle down to a nice quiet life, and yet all of a sudden he's zipping around the world, and I didn't find it all that adventurous, not all that exciting, rather boring, I thought. Yeah, I mean, it was just an okay classic, accessible classic, but yet boring overall. And I only gave that one 3 stars. Moving on, I read Dororo, which is a humongous omnibus edition by Osamu Tezuka. I'm not going to go in all detail about this because I did do a full review on this, so just suffice to say I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. But a very intriguing premise. I like the main character, who in fact isn't Dororo. This is like the secondary character in the book. But it was very intriguing. Go ahead and check out my review for more information about this particular manga. Another manga I read was the 2nd volume of One Piece by Ichiro Oda. I forget what this one was called. Let's see. Buggy the Clown, I think. It's a really quirky character who has a couple special characteristics, as well as our main character, Monkey D. Luffy, who can stretch after eating a fruit from the gum tree. He wants to be a pirate, and he ends up traveling in search of some big treasure and making a name for himself, and he's slowly building a crew, and this other character named Zolo here starts out as a kind of hunting pirates, and next thing you know, he ends up joining his crew as one of the pirates. But I really like his character as well, and I'm looking forward to going on to the rest of the series. It is a huge series, by the way. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Personal Effects Dark Arts by J.C. Hutchins and Jordan Weissman. This one was overall a disappointment. It's about an art therapist who is called on a case to determine whether this man is fit to stand trial for the murders of like 12 people. And he uses art therapy and things to kind of evaluate people, but he goes well beyond the parameters of his job, I think. Starts investigating the crimes. His father's a police officer, and he starts telling his son off like he's some small child. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. It's an intriguing book in terms of the format of it. There's some really creepy illustrations, and some imagery and stuff was interesting within it, but there's like a little pocket here with all this stuff in it about the suspect and all. There's supposed to be phone numbers and web links to various things, but none of those links work. I think the book is been out for a while now, and that kind of made everything just kind of, it's not active anymore, which is very disappointing. Whether that would add anything more to the enjoyment of the book, I don't know, because like I said, I call phone numbers. This phone number doesn't, is unavailable, and the website was a dead link. So overall, a bit of a disappointment even in the story, and I only gave that one 2 stars. I finished the Castor Chronicles by reading the 4th and final book, Beautiful Redemption by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. The 3rd book ended on quite the cliffhanger, and with the events that happened to Ethan Waite, I was really curious to see how this book was going to continue and what events were going to take place. It does definitely begin with a totally different twist for our main character, but it was very intriguing and very well written, and overall I really enjoyed the story, although it was probably a bit drawn out in 4 books. Maybe they could have made it into just simply a trilogy, but this one I did give 4 stars to. Next I read quite a few graphic novels. Grab them all together here. I read volume 4 of Chew, called Flambe. This is by John Layman and Rob Gilroy. I really love this series. Tony Chu is just quite a really intriguing character. And his partner, whose name I cannot think of right now. But anyway, in this particular one, a lot of strange alien-type writing shows up in the sky, and it's, of course, they're called to investigate it. Tony gets like psychic impressions from things that he eats, so his boss, who really doesn't like him, makes him eat lots of strange things at crime scenes to help determine like cause of murder and things like that. But in this particular volume, we do find a lot more about his family and everything, which I really enjoyed. He and his brothers do not get along. They're always arguing. You learn a little bit more about his sister and stuff. But really, really enjoyable series, and overall I gave that 5 stars. Then I tried a new graphic novel called Nailbiter, Volume 1, entitled There Will Be Blood. There's quite a few authors listed for this, but the story is effectively by Joshua Williamson. And I first heard about this, I believe, from Ryan over at Ryan Reads Books, and he raved about this one. And Charlie also read this one, I think, too, over at Duvet Day Devours. We all like a lot of the same books, so we're always causing each other's TBRs to grow, like, astronomically. But I really enjoyed this one. It is about a town that has sort of generated... this is the one, I get my stories confused here. Like 16 different serial killers, all from this one town. And one of them happens to be a nail biter. Yes, he victimizes people that chew on their nails. He captures them, locks them away until their nails grow long, and then he chews them down to the bone before he kills them. Really gross. But that's just one of the types of serial killers that occurs in this town. And there are these 2 investigators. One of them ends up spending a lot of time in town kind of digging around information, and he says he's uncovered something and calls his partner in. And it's just a really intriguing, dark kind of series. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. I like the artwork overall. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just right kind of creepiness. Yeah, and overall I gave that one 5 stars. And in fact, I just today picked up Volume 2 and 3, so can't wait to get going on that one. Speaking of serial killers, I read Bedlam, Volume 2, by Nick Spencer, Ryan Brown, and Fraser Irving. This is about Fillmore Press, who was what's once known as Mad or Red, also kind of this kind of crazed, terrorized serial killer who went around looking like that. He has been sort of gone under, like, treatment of some sort, maybe even surgical treatment, but he is under watch, and he's now kind of working with the police to kind of help them track down other serial killers, you might say. He's an interesting character. He seems kind of still, though, on the border, whether he'll slip back into his old, homicidal maniac character, or if he's going to kind of become normal again. But you don't know. It's very tense, and it's a very different kind of art, very kind of more like sketchy type, and again, really dark. I like whenever Mad or Red, or when he's imagining his former persona, it kind of turns to this black, white, and red kind of coloring to the illustrations. This one gets a bit bizarre with some sort of killer appearing on the scene who can, in a way, psychically control people, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. But I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read a new one by Robert Kirkman from The Walking Dead. This is Outcast Volume 1. It's about a guy who's plagued by demonic possession, and it now seems to be affecting other people in the town, and he, along with another priest, are sort of investigating what's going on in the town, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed this. Again, another dark kind of comic, which is perfect for this sort of time of year. But I think there's some intriguing characters and things going on within it that, you don't know how far outreaching this kind of effective this demonic possession is, how far outreaching it is beyond the town or whatever. But I'm looking forward to kind of picking up the second volume of this, which I don't think is out yet. But I gave this one 4 stars. Then I participated in the Underhyped Reads Readathon. I did listen to an audiobook during that time, which was 100 Days in Deadland by Rachel Aukus. I won't really count that as part of my wrap-up because that's a book I had read, I think it was earlier this year or last year. So it won't count like towards my Goodreads goal and everything like that, or the total book count in any way. But it was equally good in audio, and I also downloaded Volume 2. I'm looking forward to get to that as well. I highly recommend that series. It's a trilogy, zombie trilogy, kind of based on Dante's Divine Comedy in a way. You don't have to, even if you don't like the poem, it just has some sort of connections to the various steps of hell, you might say, and just really, really good series. But in addition to that, I also read like 4 books. I read the second volume of Sheltered, A Pre-Apocalyptic Tale. This is by Johnny Christmas and several other people for the illustrations and stuff like that. But it's about a town called Safe Haven that is preparing for an apocalyptic event they believe will happen when Yellowstone erupts, and some crazy stuff goes down in the first volume, which I found very, very interesting. In this case, this particular volume, there's a lot of infighting within the community, and then there's some sort of outside influence that kind of comes into play, that they're trying to keep themselves isolated. They don't want anybody else really knowing about what they're doing there. But overall it was pretty good, but yeah, I'm kind of unsure. I've already it's awkward because I've already read the third volume, which you'll find out if you've already seen my Dewey's 24-hour readathon wrap-up, because I already talk about my overall feelings of the series. But in this particular volume, I gave it 4 stars. Watch the Dewey's readathon wrap-up to find out how I felt about the series overall. And then I decided to pick up some of my ebooks. That was one of my goals for this year, was to read some more of the ebooks that I own. And one of the ones I picked up was The Wandering Earth, and it's the author at the bottom. I'm not even going to pronounce it. I'm sure I would just mess it up. But it's basically a sci-fi story about the world in which our sun is going to kind of go supernova, engulf all the planets, including ourselves. And the only way to kind of save humanity is to leave the Earth, or move the Earth in this case. It's too hard to try to like create enough ships and things to move the population. So they create these Earth engines and eventually move the planet out of its orbit. And we follow this one character and sort of his life during these stages as it's getting ready for preparation to move and everything. But it was weird with the characters, because it's sort of like, you think a tragedy like this would bring people together instead of pulling them apart, and they seem to go off on their own and weird. It overall was an interesting story, but not as fascinating the sci-fi aspect that I would have hoped to. I only gave it 3 stars. Next I picked up In the Window Room. I don't know why they have the title The Histories of the Earth in the Window Room, Book 1, but it comes up In the Window Room everywhere else, by Stephen J. Carroll. Middle grade book, just delightful, about this girl who gets sort of a detention from school. She's at a boarding school. She has to go stay in a kind of house on the property by herself. Everybody thinks the place is haunted, but she's a little freaked out until she starts exploring the house, finds this room that leads into, you know, when you step out of this kind of like tapestry thingy, then she ends up in other worlds and other adventures, and it was just very, very entertaining. I really enjoyed that one, and I gave it 5 stars. I also picked up the ebook The 19 Dragons by Lady Rain. This was just, I love the cover of this. It's sort of steampunk, and it has dragons in it. Yes, 19 dragons, as a matter of fact. Each chapter is about a different dragon, and all their stories sort of link up. The dragons are sort of like the gods of the world, and they hold up the pillars of the earth, and they live amongst people in society as mortals. They appear human, live out lives, and then are kind of reborn again, thanks to this device that one of them possesses on the head of a cane. And then this device is stolen, and their immortality is put in jeopardy, and as they die off, so does the earth kind of crumble as these pillars give way. And it was just really intriguing how these stories are all linked together and how the story is told. I thought the writing was very good, and I was quite surprised and delighted by it. I gave it 5 stars. Definitely recommend that one. The last book that I read was The Witch with No Name by Kim Harrison. I'm not going to go into detail. This is book 13 in the series. I absolutely love this series. I talk about it all the time. Love the characters. I thought everything wrapped up really intriguing. This is going to play havoc with the white balance here, but yeah, I definitely recommend picking this series up. Delve into it a little more than just book 1 until you get into the characters, and you'll really find yourself just really caring about each and every one of them. Rachel Morgan is a fantastic main character, and I just can't speak highly enough of it, so I gave it 5 stars without a doubt. So that is my wrap-up. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.